these companies knew in the 1950s that this was going to happen. They had accurate carbon emissions graphs drawn in the 50s that global warming, that all of this was going to happen. And everything they've done since then has been an intentional attempt to have us not believe that. And in particular, to have them and all the other forces of racial capitalism to make Black and brown people think that it's not our problem and it's not our issue.
Compost and climate and cornrows.
All right, Raya, thanks so much for joining the podcast.
I'm very glad to be here.
Yes, one of the fiercest voices that I believe is holding governments and big oil and just trash economies at scale accountable. So, right. So I'm excited to get into our conversation. But before we get started, I'd love to ground us in knowing how you define sustainability.
I would say to me, sustainability is really just, it's like all of us should be stopping and thinking, like inspecting, like, what can we do? Do I need to use this much? Do I need to use this much of water? Start being thoughtful about what are we buying? What's in what we're buying? And also thinking about very important, how to hold corporate entities and others accountable for these same questions all along their production chain.
Mm, thank
That
you
would
for
be
that. I
much.
love how you're like, we have to be thoughtful for us while also holding the extractive giants accountable, right?
That's right.
I
Yeah,
love
because
that. I love that.
I've heard that of so many times, that battle between like policy and individual actions, and it's always frustrated me because they're kind of two sides of the same coin. Is it our fault? No, it is not our fault, right? There's a lot of evil actors out here, fossil fuel companies. Um, but are we outside the equation? Absolutely not. Absolutely
Right.
not.
And that's important too, because I feel like there's the systemic component, right?
Mhm.
And how that affects the environment, but there's also a health component, right? When we're thinking about our individual footprint and the ways in which it impacts the environment and, structures, but there's also a piece about how it affects us as an individual, as a household, as a family, as a community. And so we are part of that equation. Yes, they need to be held accountable, but we play a role too. And I love that you articulated that.
No, that's exactly right.
Mm. So I'd love to start our conversation just to know a little bit more about your Genesis story as an attorney and the work that you're doing in the clean energy legal space.
Well, all right. No,
I feel like I know that was a big question, but I feel like folks need to hear from the lawyer, from the attorney putting in his work. Okay,
no, I love it, and it's important because also I'm an organizer, and always what
and
you ask folks
activists.
is,
Let's not
"What
forget.
activated you?" That's
Right.
always the question, and I think especially for lawyers, there's this idea of being a movement lawyer.
Mm.
That's a really important thing. As an attorney, you're building your skills in service to movements that are trying to make transformational change, as opposed to a myriad of other interests. And that's a very challenging trajectory for somebody who wants to be a lawyer to change the world. And I think if you talk to a bunch of law students in law school right now, a good half of them, if not more, are like, "Why'd you go to law school?" "Because I want to help change the world," be it in the environment, racial justice, civil rights, women's right, the whole intersectional gamut. And so that was also me. And I think that my particular interest which I didn't know about energy law when I was in law school, but I knew about human rights and international human rights, and I didn't understand why countries could be so oil rich, yet the individuals could be so poor. And then when I ended up in private practice, that's the thing about being a lawyer. It's up to you to develop the skills that you're going to need to apply to something else. And I ended up doing energy law because of my own interests in markets and economics. And that took me on my path from private practice to working for NGOs to being more focused on having to start my own org that focuses on justice. which is it's, it's challenging, to, be a lawyer that works for causes you feel good about, but not impossible.
Mm, mm. Do you feel like there is this parallel between the lawyers who are trying to do good, be good, and challenge the system, and police who are trying to do good, be good, and challenge the system? Because I think
Love that
oftentimes Go ahead.
question.
Oh,
I
yes.
love that question. I've
Uh-huh.
never heard something just put like that, but I think that is a good way to do it because look, lawyers are also cops, right?
Yes. Yep.
And, like, and I interned at the Manhattan District Attorney's office when I was, at law school. There's a lot of power in wearing a badge. I remember rolling down the hallways like, I mean, I was interning for a couple months, so I was tripping
Uh-huh.
clearly. I think that's a genius analogy. Imma keep using it. Absolutely. The answer is just yes. Lawyers are cops, lawyers work for corporations, lawyers can work for movements, and the key to being a lawyer who works for movements is that you put yourself in service of the community, of the activists, and you take direction, you set direction because you're being asked, but you take direction, and that's sort of the heart of what being a movement is about.
Mhm. Within the guise of being a movement lawyer, I wanna tap back into that conversation that we sort of tickled on in terms of corporations. What exactly makes corporations shitty when it comes to when it and give a base response, but when it comes to the environment and oil and extraction, because oftentimes that narrative is on people. What can you do to lower your carbon footprint? But let's have a conversation about corporations and why there needs to be that fight against corporations.
Look, I'm gonna say it, it's racial capitalism. It's
Okay.
it's 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 racial capitalism.
Yep.
Actually, one of my colleagues wrote a great article about racial capitalism being the foundation of the climate crisis, and it's it's real and it's true. And I like what you said about carbon footprint is really important because the idea of a carbon footprint was actually made up and marketed by the fossil fuel industry to distract
Yay!
folks to think that this is something that's their fault when it's really not.
Mm.
And yes, we are, folks who climate justice activists who who look into and talk about how do we make the transformational change that we need, point to the need to move away from extractive economies, to more generative economies and resource extractive racial capitalism is a big part of that.
Yeah, I love that. What are some of your, I guess, big wins that you feel that turned out really beautiful as a movement lawyer?
We talk about this idea of intergenerational move and intergenerational struggle and principled struggle. And I think that's really important because, people a lot of the more problematic climate activists are, are often I don't mean to come for the boomers, but I'm coming for them. Are are like, "We need to fix this climate crisis." It's like if something doesn't happen in their lifetime, like, it's all said and done, and that's why they wanna, like, poison the sky and do all this stuff right now, no matter what else anybody else care about. Um, but I know that obviously, do I wanna see big change happen right now? Yes, but I know that we're passing on to the next generation, and when we do have a legal victory, that we're still working on implementation, and then we're always gonna be working on attrition. So I don't wanna so I'm gonna stop before I give additional examples, so I don't wanna go on a monologue, but that was my initial response. I can
Love this, gonna start speaking in code, right? With every generation, and then now with so much, all of the tech era and just how we're sharing information, I feel like there's a lot of misinformation while we're trying to accelerate climate justice. What is one of the most important sort of public truths that this era needs to know about environmental justice?
I'll say the fossil fuel industry spends billions of dollars every year on to market to all of us to that things are different than they are. And you see that everywhere on television, even some of the so-called more, like, liberal TV stations. How much time do they spend focused on climate issues? How much time do they spend talking about environmental justice? Um, I know because I sit there and watch, and I've also tried to get on them stations, and I've seen and I can count the times that they've done it. And so it's a big, broad effort, and it's like racism, it's the air we swim in. Exxon knew, right? These companies knew in the 1950s
Yeah.
that this was going to happen. They had accurate carbon emissions graphs drawn in the 50s that global warming, that all of this was going to happen. And everything they've done since then has been an intentional attempt to have us not believe that. And in particular, to have them and all the other forces of racial capitalism to make Black and brown people think that it's not our problem and it's not our issue. And it
And that we haven't contributed exponentially to creating solutions. We can't forget that piece
that part
because we have been very regenerative and we have been solution oriented since inception.
that's exactly right. All I can say is, yes, you're right. I don't know how many people. There are a lot of, and I'm chill on who I call out
You
all at
good,
once,
sis,
although I
you
like
good.
calling them all out. But okay, let's go ahead and talk about it. There is the big, well-funded, white, big, green climate movement.
Absolutely.
Okay, it is what it is. I've worked for all of them. They see me. We love you. We are friends in all sorts of ways.
Mhm.
But it's not necessarily their fault, but the funding, everything, the way it goes. So when I talk to folks, say you talk to Black folks or other folks, like, "Oh, about environmental justice," I'll have someone say, "Good luck with the polar bears." And that's not their fault. And I see, you know, but it only takes so to your point about we're out here doing this. I was at a barbecue, this was 2 years ago. Beautiful woman, she was what a lovely woman, a Black woman who's a, obstetrician. And, she's the one who said she says, "What do you do?" I say, "Climate environmental justice lawyering." She says, "Well, good luck with them polar bears." I was like, "Okay,
Stop.
that." I said,
Mhm.
"What are some of the, determinants of maternal and child health and well-being?" Right? And sis was like, she is listing, and she's everything. And she's like, "And when I work in my practice, I'm doing this and that." And therefore, she's to your point, she is out here doing all the things,
Yeah.
right? And it only took me a minute to clarify, well, this is what I'm talking about. One of the projects we may work on for environmental justice, did you know that it's Black people who live near to every source of pollution? And that's the bad air, poisonous air, that's poison lead paint, that's nutrition. And it only took a few minutes before she was lecturing me about environmental justice,
Mm, mm.
period. And then and you can have that convo a million times over. Like someone's like, "Well, my auntie was the queen of washing out a plastic Ziploc and
Yep,
drying it
yep,
because we about to and whether or not
yep.
we should be using plastic for our health, that's
Right,
another
right,
question.
right. There's
But
layers, there's
point,
layers. Right.
we're you know, we're out here making the most and doing the most.
Yeah, yeah, and this is, across the diaspora, across the globe, right? If we're looking in the agricultural space, if we're looking in the fashion space, the beauty space, the climate justice advocacy, every fighting maternal mortality, like, every which way you look, we have been fighting and creating rubrics of care that either don't get funded, um, there are ways in which it gets devalued, and it's been packaged in a way where there's this elitist or white voice-centered epidemic. It's an epidemic, it's an epidemic, and if we wanna really build regenerative solutions, then getting to the heartbeat and the pulse of Black and brown indigenous communities who, again, are solutionist in our DNA. So yeah, I digress because I'll,
No,
you
no,
know.
you don't. No, it's a dynamic that's a real trouble in with climate and environmental justice because we often find ourselves in this funny position of of having to sort of like advocate within, and I'm sure this is true of other folks, advocate
Mhm.
within the climate space to those who have more funding and have thus more control over narrative and what gets studied and what gets done and who says what. And also then having to, with less resources, try and figure out how do we reach out to our, our own people and do the organizing and the base
Yeah,
building
and then just
and the
trying to
care
survive.
work, trying to survive and the mutual aid, which right's all cute now. Everybody wants to talk about it now.
That part. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any insight from your vantage point in securing funding at this stage? I know the political climate is shit, and there's just a lot of variables in how funding is being allocated and the language around advocacy. But do you have any insight into how folks are getting coins that are Black led organizations and initiatives?
So it's kind of, I have sort of two stories, a tale of two situations. One situation, clearly there's a whole class and many series of folks who are getting funding just ripped out from under them because of what's going on with this administration, like, period. And so, and some of that is, I mean, I've had some, I had some opportunities disappear. That's some environmental and climate justice folks have had big things just snatched out. And then, of course, we know universities, you know, and, but yet still, and however, that the scarcity mindset is also a problem because I don't know if you noticed, but the rich are riching.
Yeah,
Capitalism is capitalizing,
the
and
haves and the haves and the have-nots, and the haves are having even heavier.
the haves are having even heavier, and
Yeah.
a lot of those billionaires give in the climate space. And so while
Mm.
and the stock market is up. Mm, and we've seen some structural changes in terms of like, who gives, who's been giving big checks. So I guess what I'm saying is some of this scarcity mindset is false, and some of it is people who are crying, that they're having issues are structurally, and I want the universities to get their money, have huge endowments. So we do need to be looking at, who is really suffering. And I think there's a lot of investment happening in the climate space now by those
Mhm.
same
Yep.
actors who've been doing it before and who has access to that and visibility into that. Okay. So anyway, I don't want to monologue because I can talk. I do have more things to say, but I'm gonna toss it back to you.
No, 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 I think you're right. A climate expert who I spoke with recently, Sherelle Dorsey,
Mm-mm.
she's seconding that in terms of there is a lot of money being allocated to the future of climate justice. And I'm always going to ask folks their professional opinions on how to get the coin in today's generation. And so I'm in agreement, and so are so many other folks. What are your thoughts, though? And this can be a trippy question, and there's just a lot of nuance around this conversation. But what are your thoughts in taking coins from corporations who have the money to allocate to causes and initiatives that are focused on environmental justice, but the heartbeat of their brand is nasty?
Yeah. Well, right. They
I feel
say
like you
there is.
touched on it, but I'm I'm just curious because there's a lot of different takes and a lot of different perspectives.
I'm sure.
You
Well,
complete the 5th.
no, I start off by giving grace because there's no conscious
Mm,
consumption in capitalism, right? Like,
yes.
first off, grace.
Yep.
Second of all, nonprofit industrial complex, right? The nonprofit funds are coming off of the wealthy people in capitalism who are trying to get tax breaks. Like, so there's a lot of structural things, and so I don't, I don't judge folks in terms of how they're getting their coin, but it is challenging because, um, It's a decision in proximity that has to be made when you take government funding, state funding, corporate funding. Sometimes that comes with strings. They expect certain tones, and you have to deal with that because sometimes they'll just want you to focus on doing something that really just isn't rabble rousing.
Yeah.
And you're like,
True.
"Well, I'm trying to rage against the machine here."
Yeah.
So, that's really a choice that people that individuals need to make, but yet still and however, I do sometimes, like, I mean, do you, boo, but don't front,
Right.
and
That
I do
part.
that.
That part. That part.
There's a little bit of that. I mean, you
Yeah.
see yeah, it's like
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. And that's something that I even try to do, try to be very actually, I don't try, I am. I'm like, "Look, I needed this because this is what sustainability looked like for me today. And if you have an alternative, then come holla at me." But and people aren't ready for that level of transparency in these conversations, especially as a Black woman. And when we have to talk about getting up out of survival mode and transitioning to where we can thrive and feed back into our community. I do have a question for you. With the machine, is there and I don't wanna get and you could, again, complete the fifth, but is there a hard no in terms of where people should not be getting funds? Like, is Exxon a hard hell no? Or do we just leave that to the discretion of the organization based off of what their needs are?
I don't know who it is that's trying and what they're trying to do. I'd say Exxon is a hard no.
Okay. Okay. Right, right, right.
I would say I mean, I don't know. I didn't know that they had a freedom fund. Uh,
And just for clarity and just for baseline, why are corporations like Exxon in particular terrible for environmental justice movements? Again, just bringing it down to a cellular level so that because we speak the same language and oftentimes we're in spaces where we all get it. But for folks who are like, what's wrong with I need my I love Exxon. I don't know who would say that, but you know what I mean.
Actually, you know what? I don't wanna because this is actually true. This was where, like, the just transition piece comes in terms of
Mhm.
means for workers. There are a lot of folks, like, I have family. I have, and we didn't get into this, but I have a issue. My grandparents were from Alabama, and we're having an oil fight on our lands. But I also have family in the industry. One of my cousins works for a petrochemical company, in Texas. One of my
Mm,
cousins works on a frack pad in Pennsylvania. This people are getting livelihoods, and I'm not condemning them because they work for
right.
industry. So this is not an
It's not
abstract
black or
question.
white.
Ch try telling somebody who's gone to engineering school and, now maybe works for whatever Chevron and gets, good 6 figures that they should be changed I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a real
I love
con
that you said this. Yeah.
and yet still in however, though, um, there is a point as an advocate, so I'm not out here trying to judge people, but as an
Right.
advocate who's trying to push back on the climate crisis, fossil if we're not looking at curbing fossil fuels, we aren't doing anything, and they are killing us, Black and brown people at every step of the chain, and it is coming for us first and worst, so at some point, you lose your credibility, at some point, you lose your
Yeah. And I think the storytelling piece is very critical so that folks understand that we are on the front lines, exactly how you said. Every which way you look at it, we are part of a sacrifice zone and we are on the front lines of environmental injustices and it affects us immensely. And so I think there comes there's just this piece of folks who are just not in these circles of conversation who need to be further educated and need to just understand what's happening to them when they're in the hospital suffering immense asthma attacks or when they, all of these different facets that affect, especially again, going back to that health piece, because that's where I feel like is one of the most relatable ways that we can have these conversations about environmental injustice on an individual or micro community level so that folks understand before you come at people with this big environmental public health scandal that's happening. And so I'm glad that you
Lot.
lifted
You're
up
exactly right.
these layers. You said what?
That's exactly right. Like, I don't know if you're a Black person in America, you don't if not yourself, you don't have a relative who didn't eat the paint chips.
Never heard that.
Well, and I don't did you grow up in this country?
I did. I did. I'm from Oakland, California.
I'm just did you yourself or somebody in your family eat the chips, and it's unfortunate,
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
right?
I've just
We
never
don't
heard that saying, and
right?
I love
True.
the yes.
Nobody hasn't eaten the paint chips. Nobody's not at the cusp of having to deal with this carceral system. Nobody is free from having asthma or breathing problem issues. And this is a veil that has been put in front of our eyes intentionally. I don't blame anybody for being behind it. People
Mhm.
think asthma is an inherited condition. Now, it is to a certain extent, but it's not. It's a environmental condition because where you live is more poison than where other folks live. And, you think you got it from your mama. No, you didn't. You got it from the power plant and the dirty fuel, and maybe there's some mold in the house. So I could go on and on and on and on. And there's dots that need to be connected and lines that need to be drawn. And I promise you, like I said, with this beautiful obstetrician I told you about, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's what I
Correct.
love most is when people are lecturing me about it.
Yes.
And they do.
I love it. I love it. I love that we become griots in this we begin to circulate these lectures or these stories and completely
I'm not
shift
trying to
our
lecture you.
paradigm.
I hope it didn't sound like a lecture.
No, 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 you
That's why I
did.
tried. I do lecture because I do teach things, but I hope I'm not
Right.
lecturing.
No, 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 not at all, not at all. Nah,
You're
we
like
having a sisterhood
ages. That's
moment.
fine though. I'm not perfect. Like I said, I'm auntie. I'm Climate
Yes.
Auntie on Instagram is where you can find me.
Yes, you are Climate Auntie. Um, love
Well,
that
we
name,
ain't
by the
perfect.
way.
We're
Love it
cringy.
so much. I'm here for the layers.
Oh, I love
Uh,
what you said about is like the lawyering and the police.
mm,
That was really on point. Mhm.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we are.
again, a lot of what surfaces is just in the moment, and I'm like, "Whoa, this parallel." Um, and I often think sometimes that it we look at the police and don't draw parallels between police and lawyers, and sometimes we do. And I think that there needs to be a conversation. It just reminds me that there just needs to be a more enriching conversation as it relates to the systems that we have to operate within and the systems that impact us the most. For real. Is there is there a law or a policy historically or modern day that you feel like we should be aware of?
Yep. Patience.
Mm,
Patience now and tomorrow and forever.
and forever.
And what that and also connecting the dots to what that means. For instance, I don't know if you've heard of this Justice 40 concept that was in the
Mhm.
Biden probably spoken to some folks about it. That came from New York. In New York, we passed a law in 2019 that said a goal of 40% of benefits from climate must go to so-called disadvantaged communities, frontline communities. And there was some brown and black people involved in making that law, but I am now taught now that it's in force and New York State has admitted that there has been racism behind the placement of its energy systems and a lot of other things in terms of how neighborhoods are treated. That's reparations too. And, like, I want like, we need to, like, sort of dig into the labels, of that. So, yeah,
Yeah,
we need climate reparations, we need all the different types of reparations. My family going after the oil companies, there's a reparations piece to that too, because there's the oil they stole, but there's what's happened over these past 30 years. So
Yeah.
I'll let that be the one. Sorry, I'll stop lecturing.
Nah, that's a no, no, you're not lecturing at all. It's interesting because yes, New York's climate plan is held as nation leading, excuse me. But obviously plans don't necessarily equal liberation. So when I'm thinking about what are do you feel like there's an accountability tool or a power structure that can really turn climate law into lived justice? Looking at New York as a template.
To be honest, right at this moment right now, I
Mhm.
think we need a new generation of folks to come forward. Like, we don't need to fix what's been broken with the Clean Water Act. We need a whole new
Yeah.
set of law.
I
This
mean, really,
was,
we need a new constitution, but I'm not gonna.
let's amend it. Like, we need, that 70s era. I'm not coming for the boomers, whatever you want to call them. We need a new generation of progressive, you know, of progressive laws with a new generation of leadership that's actually focused on movements. That's what I really do think. I mean, are there laws and policies and things that we can continue pushing? Is the New York Justice 40 still alive, and are we digging into it, and are we still working on implementation of it and pushing back against horrible attrition from New York State? Absolutely. But, I want to look forward.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. Out with the old guard. And I feel like a lot of folks that I'm speaking to are saying that. I spoke to um singer-songwriter Don Richard, and we had a
Oh,
conversation
yay!
about. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. We had a that's homegirl. We had a conversation just about, 20 years post Katrina and the petrochemical plants throughout Louisiana. And same situation. She was like, "Yo, we need these younger, fiery, brilliant folks to really be in leadership positions now, not yesterday, and create these updated rubrics for what the future needs to look like." Like the old folk, no, y'all gotta go.
Yep.
And that's
I
really what I feel like is big. You said what?
I agree 100%. And as auntie, like, we all, even auntie, we need to get out the way. We need to be supporting these folks. Like I said, there's still work to be done in our movement for these
Right.
connected moments, because we're working on that groundswell of folks who feel like they own it and are passionate about it. And always the young people should be, if they're smart, they need the folks to be helping advise them.
Right.
And I agree with you 100. Myself, I see myself as like, as wanting to get out the way. My real job is trying to support these folks, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
But
being that support system, being that pillar, that advisor, to fill in the gaps that the younger folk may not, be privy to. I think that is key. Mm,
yep, and we need leadership from our elders. We need it.
yeah,
We have to be intergenerational, or we'll never get to that transformational change that we're talking about. And
100%.
but we have to let our youth lead. We have to let them lead.
100%. 100%. I mean, I feel like we could talk about the shits for a minute, but I'd love
Honestly,
to know forever, but I'd love to know, like, what is exciting you about the future?
it's dark times, and we still have a lot going on, but
Mhm.
I truly they are this regime is too incompetent, too ridiculous. We are coming back.
Mm.
We are coming back, and we're coming back strong. And all I can say is I feel that in my spirit.
That part.
I mean, I hope like, we're not having this.
Right,
And I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. Every day it's a lot, and it's more than we should have to deal with. But yeah, we
right.
we are turning a corner.
Agree, agree. And
Ooh,
where are
and
you based?
there's a new season of Interview with the Vampire coming out, which is Lestat. Lestat? I'm excited for Lestat, my show.
Yes. Come on.
It's a very auntie show. My daughter was like, "Mom, it's like that's the show is for the lesbians, like, even the gay men don't like that show."
Are you a
So I'm like,
psycho
"I
thriller
like."
fan?
Hmm?
Are you a psycho thriller genre fan?
guess so. I'm just like I said, I'm auntie. To me, being with my little blanket with my shows,
Me
right.
too, because that is first of all, that's my genre, like, I love all genres, but something about the psycho thrillers, like, a little bit of
Psychic
scare like,
thrillers
I'm
are
here for that.
definitely good. Yeah, you know what? I do like those. I
Mm.
watch a lot of shows.
Ooh, you
More
know what's a good show? Or excuse me, a good movie is
mm,
Blink Twice. If you
okay,
haven't,
I will check that.
it is, Zoe Kravitz, her debut
Okay, okay. I
movie.
think my daughter told me about that.
Yes, it was good. It was good, and I feel like not enough people were talking about it, and um, there's a lot of undertones about, just the criminality of, um, celebrity culture, but it was just beautifully written, and it's a psycho thriller. It was really good. It was good. It was good. It was good. It was good. Check it out. You can get into auntie mode with that one.
I'm here for it.
Yes, for sure. And then where are you based locally?
I'm in New Rochelle, New York, which is
New York.
it's a suburb of New York City.
Girl, not you being around the corner. I'm in New Jersey. I knew you were doing a lot of work in New York, but that doesn't mean anything these days.
You know, I could be like, I could be upstate or something, like real
Right,
upstate.
right, right. Okay, cool, cool, cool. And
Doing
is
that.
there anything you're excited about on a local level?
Well, we've what's going on out here? Well, I mean, my org is doing a lot of work. We're here on the Long Island Sound. We're opening a coastal education and resilience center. We love teaching the young people about the little
Yes,
sea creatures and things.
yes.
I was just before I was talking to you, I was talking about mollusks and different things. And also, though, I've got a short film that I've been, it's called Black Soil Rising, and it's about this Alabama oil story that I mentioned. And we've been winning film festivals, and we're excited about continuing to screen that.
Yes. Yes. I think films are literally they've already been the nucleus in storytelling, but definitely the future of storytelling and lecturing. I'm kidding, you weren't lecturing. But, yes, congratulations on that. I love it, I love it, I love it.
Yeah. I'm teaching energy law next semester. I'm trying to be excited about that too. Yay!
Energy lo
But being an
Where at?
adjunct
Where at?
at Pace Law School, but
At Pace,
being
okay.
an adjunct is always a cute little situation.
Uh-huh.
But I
Okay,
like
energy law.
it.
Okay, look,
Big
students
work, little pay.
that's a whole nother conversation because the fact that educators are paid like dirt is ridiculous. But yes, shout out to you and I'm excited to see what develops from that. I just feel like as a non-traditional educator myself, anytime I'm connected with students, something beautiful always arises because folks are just so dope. They, from different perspectives, different locations, just bringing a different energy into the space so that it doesn't feel always solely academic.
No, I agree.
Yes. I think we covered a lot.
I
I'm
mean,
so excited that we had this conversation.
I
I
hope
love
people
that we could kiki and you're a whole ass like attorney, but it felt like that I get why you call yourself the climate auntie. I get it.
I hope you feel that you have a climate auntie now, because you do.
Yes.
If you
Thank
ever
you.
sometimes you need a climate auntie, you just be like,
Sometimes you need a
"Hello,
a whole climate auntie. For
everybody's
real.
in the streets and we out here, and I just can't with these people that
We out here. We need the outlets. That's another thing. Look, last question. What are you doing? Because you're in courthouses, you're in classrooms, you out here doing hardcore advocacy work and
Mhm,
education work.
ADHD.
What are you doing on your mental health healing? How are you sustaining your reservoir during this time to find
It's a lot,
well-being?
and that's why when you said it, my first response was ADHD.
Mm.
Love the young I learned so much from the young folks in terms of, like, and to understand ourselves, why we do the things we do, everything from and people come for y'all millennials and Gen Zs, and I think it's wrong. Like and yeah, I mean, it can be a bit much sometimes, but, like, like, the convo's about boundaries, the convo's about
Mm,
gender,
mm,
identity, the right way to talk about things, neurodiversity, understanding and accepting that, like I said, about myself, like, I'm like, "Why am I doing so many different things?" I'm like,
mm,
"Oh, snap."
mm,
Um, and so I just really learned all of that, and I try when I'm challenged, I try and, not be, so I can be cool auntie. I'm getting, I try and dig within myself because I'm learning and getting free from these concepts.
mm.
Um, yeah, and then I just try and oh, try and get out there. I do like dance classes. I do, you know,
Aw,
5 o'clock
I love it.
is not too early. It's not too late to go out. 6 o'clock is not too late to go out. 7 o'clock is not too late to go out.
Oh, no, it's pretty dark at 7.
Maybe even 8 o'clock. I know, right? I know you were starting to waver at 7. 7 was like, you were like, mm, 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 mm. 7 is not too late to go out. So,
That's beautiful.
so my daughter sent me that. I was laughing
I
all day.
love that. That's beautiful. Ooh, I need that
Uh,
level of, that
I know.
push because when it gets 7, it gets rough to get
Yeah,
out
and
the
it's
house.
cold and
Oof.
it's dark, and
Mm.
I'm like, I just try like everyone, trying to
Yeah.
stay engaged, trying something that y'all do that is a little annoying. Y'all are like, "Get in community," like, you're, like, scolding, like, "Get in community, build community." Like, why if somebody's depressed and lonely, like, how is yelling at them about making more friends gonna make anybody but it's true, we all need to
Actually, as a millennial myself, a millennial mom at that, I agree with you. I agree. Sometimes this umbrella statement of get in community and build community and community, 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 I actually feel like the idea of community has gotten watered down and we have to redefine what that even means.
Yeah,
Because
like, this is
what is
look
that?
at this is me, like, if this is me on any given with my remote control and I'm on the struggle bus, like, how are you yelling at me about making friends gonna help me make friends?
That part, that part. Well, I love that you are slowly trying new things. You're attempting to even think about leaving the house at 7. Um, but honestly, but you are doing a tremendous amount. Like even though your voice is very soothing and you are funny as hell, there is still a urgency in your delivery.
This morning
And there's just so
this
much
morning, I was
power in you and the work that you're doing.
look, I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect. I think once this week I went out, for a class that was at 6:45, so,
Mm.
I'm not
Okay,
trying to act
auntie.
like I'm a big success story, I just
Girl, look, you better dust your shoulders off and better count them. That's a success. What
I did
look, I know we live in this generation where everything has to be this momentous achievement, but I am here for the little tiny baby wins, the ones that people can see as well as the ones that don't nobody see. So, shout out to
right.
you.
Thank you. And I
Of
did
course.
text my daughter proudly, and she texted me back, "So purr."
Y'all are cute, first of all. Yes. Goals, mother-daughter dynamic goals for real.
All of you. All ahead. Just you wait.
Goals, because I know the mother-daughter can get a little can get a little.
Oh,
So
yes. Oh,
goals.
yes. That's a whole nother podcast.
I loved this conversation for us. But hmm, to close out our segment today,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
am doing what's called a sustainability soundtrack, where I am capturing music data from our guests to create a soundtrack and a mixtape that's rooted in sustainability. So I'm going to ask 3 rapid fire questions. Are you ready? Okay. What song is bringing you joy in this moment?
So I can't stop myself because these are not popular songs, but my film has a song called, "Let It Shine," and also there's a song called "Raya's the Best Environmental Lawyer" that are bops, and I'm excited about that would be great if
Yes. Who are the
and, like
artists?
Well, they were original creations,
Oh, original songs. Okay, come through with the original work.
but I can
Oh, and you
I
said they're a bop? Okay.
I
All
can
right.
share links to those.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna need
I
links.
my answer is really sad because, Spotify told me I was 22 because I listened to so much lo-fi.
Yo, that I'm not mad. Come on, 22.
It's
Come
all I
on,
can listen to.
auntie.
It's like when I'm working, it's like,
Okay. Spotify will probably have these next 2 answers. What what song has helped you in your healing when things get rough? What's Spotify telling
oh,
us?
I know, gosh. The thing is because I'm auntie, like, if you look at, my list, it's like, pure, like, that like, Jill Scott,
Well,
you
that's
know,
fine. Oh,
Maxwell, Queen Latifah when I wanna get all excited,
yes.
Kindred, The Family Stand, like, I just
Yes.
those R&B type of classics just when,
Okay. Okay, give me one.
oh, that's that I'm a I'm sorry, it's funny how I'm struggling with the, okay, I'll go ahead and say Maxwell's Ascension is a remake that deserved to be remade.
Okay.
Some
I love
remakes
that.
are like, "How did you do that?" But, like, Ascension, that's when I wanna just be like, you put that on, I dare you not to be like,
100%. 100%. Oh, come on, Uncle Maxwell. Okay, and then the last one is what's what song sounds like sustainability?
"Interesting
I
question."
know it is.
And it's funny, I struggle with, um, what song sounds like sustainability to
Mhm.
that's an interesting question. Um, I don't know. It's interesting, for some reason, think of, I think of, like, Jimi Hendrix, like, vintage, like, Are You Experienced, like, A Little Wing, like,
Oh,
something that's sentimental and organic, like,
yes, I'm here for Jimmy in the
rhythmical.
mix.
Yeah, maybe Little Wing.
Little Wing. Okay, yes, I'm here for this. This is an eclectic soundtrack. Thank you, girl.
If
Thank
I'm an
you.
eclectic person.
I love it, but you'll be surprised, like, we have an expansive catalog and spanning from the '50s to current, so
You know,
I'm
imagine.
excited. So
Nina
thank
Simone
you.
sounds like sustainability too to me.
Mhm, 100%, 100%.
Tell me who
Um,
somebody now, who do you hear stuff that's current? Because I just listen to what my daughter tells me to listen to, and she's the one who told I wouldn't know about Sexy Red or Pink Pantheress or any of those people. The who is
hey,
somebody
Sexy
now
Red.
who that was last year, but still. Coachy, all that stuff.
It's funny because 'cause I'm a old school my generation of old school, because I like the Brandys and the Monicas and the Maxwells, and then a generation before, I love the Luthers and the Whitney and, like, those are, like, heartwarming, what's that Marvin Gaye song where he is literally talking about nature?
Mercy, mercy
Mercy
me.
exactly, mercy me. So, I mean, and then I love Kendrick, "We Gon' Be Alright," like, on the
Yeah.
more revolutionary side of sustainability. And then I'm just like and then you have Billie Holiday, you have Strange Fruit, who and she's talking about the decolonizing of sustainability, like, our blood is in the leaves. So, it literally it can go in any genre, any generation, any form. It's expansive, and that's why I love asking these questions because similar to us culturally, the soundtrack is just as eclectic based off of how you're framing, the music.
I guess that's right.
Yes.
'Cause that's the thing. To your point before, you know, black women, like, we're the ones who gonna be the most eclectic, to be honest. We get the least credit for it, but we're the ones out here deep thinking on, like, 5 different levels.
All the things, and we're the most intersectional.
Period.
Deep thinking and how it's all connected into this vast ecosystem, like dead
Mhm.
ass.
Yeah, like,
100%.
basically and well, I don't wanna, like, so I sit on the EJ advisory for a green bank, okay?
Mm,
And we spent all this time figuring out how we wanna have finance be more equitable, blah, 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 blah. I called my
mhm.
aunt. I was like, "I'm on this green bank committee." She was like, "What? Why are they doing it? They did a green bank?" She was like, Just tell them not to be racist."
Well, that's part of being green.
That part, literally, like, just stop being racist. Like, just, like, listen to
I
black
mean,
women, stop
that's
being
the
racist. That's
nucleus of
more than half of it, probably 3/4.
yeah, 100%. 100%. And we're just now yes, 100% in agreeance.
Stop it. Stop
Come on, just tell them not to be racist. Like, that is a
it.
quote. That is like, no, for real. That is a quote. And the fact that a lot of folks don't correlate that to the green economy and climate justice,
Right? It's a
yeah.
big tell the banks not to be racist is basically what they need to do for climate justice, but, will they? No. So, anyway,
All right. Come on. Come on. You said grandma?
it was my aunt.
Mom. Aunt. Come
Basically
on, aunt, with the quote.
basically, it's like talking about climate, they say it's like what you have to talk to, your really smart aunt or uncle who might be like a carpenter or something at Thanksgiving. Like, it's like, like, people are
Yeah.
just because of all the we talked about the veils, people are here, and we're here, But,
Nah. Beautiful, beautiful closing note. Beautiful closing note. So thank you, Auntie, for encapsulating exactly what we just talked about, honestly. But let everyone know how they could stay connected with you and your work and get involved with all the things.
yes. Thank you so much. So, I am Raya Salter. My org is the Energy Justice Law and Policy Center. We are ejlpc.org. You can follow me easiest. Follow me, Climate Auntie, on Instagram, and follow Black Soil Rising on Instagram and TikTok, please.
I know that's right. Thank you so much. And I gotta figure out how I can watch that. Is it available to the public yet?
It isn't, but I would. It's only 13 minutes, and
Okay,
so
okay.
very easy to screen. If even if you had another half an hour, I could screen. Not now, but I could screen it
Yeah,
for you.
yeah, yeah.
We do screenings actually. That too, we do a screenings.
Okay, let's touch base on that because I'd love for folks to tap in.
Dope. And yes, that it is dope. You'll be like, "Oh, snap, you did a thing." Like, cause most stuff out here is boring. I can't,
As
like,
hell.
and, if it doesn't grab you, but this film is actually interesting.
Okay, I know that's right. The evolution of sustainability-centered films need to stop being boring as hell, period. Thank you so much for these juices and berries, and that is a wrap.
Composting, cotton, and cornrows.
We've turned nothing to gold since the birth of our soul. It's ingrained in our room. Black is more than flesh and bone, planted deep in our code, and we bear the fruit. Yeah, they wonder how our stride's so bold, and our pride stone cold after all we've been through. Rich as the texture of our crown. We pass it on to the youth.